This is apparently the only tablet that feels like real paper. So the big question is, can it tear me away from the brilliant iPad mini? So having ventured into the world of digital note-taking last year, I only really had one question when reMarkable sent me one of these for review. And that was, is it any better than the iPad mini? That might sound like a really strange comparison, but bear with me. So you might be wondering what the reMarkable tablet is, and the best way to describe this thing is that it is like a Kindle that you can write on. And I do believe it has a legitimate claim for sitting in the tablet category, even though the differences between a reMarkable tablet and an iPad are quite significant. For instance, you can't browse the web on this. You wouldn't want to, trust me. If you've ever browsed the web on a Kindle, imagine that, but on a bigger screen. Just no. There's no app store, you can't use it to send emails, you can't even check your diary on here. This tablet is designed purely for note-taking, document reading, and that's about it really. So what we have on this is a 10.3 canvas display. And it's very similar to a Kindle's e-ink display. The biggest difference, however, is the fact that you can use one of these, a marker, to make notes and draw on this tablet. However, it isn't cheap. The basic reMarkable 2 tablet is £399, but it's fairly unusable in that form because you need a marker to write stuff with. And you've got two choices there. You either have the standard marker, which is £79, or you have the slightly upgraded Marker Plus. And the Marker Plus is £129. The biggest difference, well, there's two differences really, is the build quality feels a bit better with this. It's made from a slightly different material. And also it has a rubber or an eraser on the top of it as well. So you can flip the marker around and rub out stuff. So if you buy a reMarkable 2 tablet and the standard marker, at the very least, you're going to pay £478. And that increases to £528 if you go for the Marker Plus. In terms of size, the reMarkable 2 is about the same size as a piece of A4 paper, and it's incredibly thin. They call it one of the thinnest tablets on the market, and I think that's probably a fair claim. It's very light as well. It weighs less than a pound. It feels very good in the hand. It feels very well built as well. It's a kind of mixture of, I think, some kind of plastic on the back and a bit of metal here and there, but it feels very, if you give it the old kind of twist test, there's no giving it at all. It feels like a very well-made piece of kit. It also has a magnetic strip on the side, which is very iPad-like and means you can attach your marker to it like that. Very convenient. It also charges via USB-C, which gets my vote. And in terms of battery life, you can get 2 weeks out of this thing and 3 months on standby. So it's very convenient when it comes to battery life. And I think they're pretty much bang on with those numbers. It just seems to last forever. Not forever, but a long time. And that is important because this is basically a notepad, and notepads don't run out of charge. And the display is really nice, actually. If you've ever seen a Kindle before, it's pretty much identical to that. The resolution is 226 dpi. It's not backlit, which did throw me to begin with, but if you think about paper, that's not backlit, and I appreciate that the reMarkable is trying to completely replace paper. It does occasionally cause issues. If I'm in a dark room and I need to put a light on, sometimes it would just be nice to have an additional bit of lighting behind the screen. That is one slight downside. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I have completely switched to digital note-taking last year. That is because of this rather wonderful little device, which is the iPad mini. And the combination of the iPad mini 6, the Apple Pencil 2, and the brilliant Paperlike screen protector. If you've got an iPad and you haven't got one of these Paperlikes, they're really worth looking at. Basically, it obviously protects your screen, but it also gives it this kind of coating that makes it feel like paper. And as soon as I put that Paperlike on here, it transformed this device and it completely got me into digital note-taking. I'll put a link to Paperlike in the video description so you can go and check them out. But one thing I did notice as soon as I put the Paperlike on this screen was just that first experience of interacting with it with the Apple Pencil. So naturally, I wanted to know if I get the same experience from the reMarkable. And the good news is you do. It feels very much like paper. Just like Paperlike, there's enough resistance to make it feel less like a screen. And there's also a nice satisfying sound, which you can possibly hear. Doesn't sound like you're writing on a screen, it sounds like you're writing on something like paper. It's pretty responsive as well. It's not quite as responsive as the Apple Pencil on the iPad. That's understandable given the different screen technologies here, but it is 21 milliseconds, and that basically means you've got 21 milliseconds for something to appear on the screen when you interact with it with the marker. And in everyday use, you don't really notice it. There's a slight delay as you're moving your marker across the screen, but it's very, very slight. And it's not the kind of delay that creates an issue when you're writing or drawing. And the marker is quite nice as well. I quite like, in fact, I prefer the standard marker to the Marker Plus. I just like the material they've used for this. It's lighter, it feels a little bit cheaper, because it is cheaper, although it's still £79, but it does, I don't know, I just find this a bit more ergonomic for writing with. Now you do have to replace the tips on these, just like the Apple Pencil. reMarkable tells me that you get between 3 to 7 weeks of use from one tip, which doesn't sound like very much. I think you get more than that, based on my experience with this. I've been using this for quite a while now. I think they last a bit longer, but you do get a few of these in the box, so can't complain too much, but it's worth bearing that in mind. So in terms of the writing experience, it's really good. I've been really impressed with it. There's some nice little touches as well. They've added these little rubber feet things on the back, which means when you put it on any surface, it won't move as you're writing and drawing. I think the fit and finish of the tablet itself is very nice from a hardware perspective. The screen is very nice and legible, perfectly sharp. But then the more you look into the reMarkable, there are some issues. So a few weeks back, when I was waiting for this reMarkable to be delivered, I asked you guys what you wanted to know about the reMarkable 2. And there was a really common theme among the questions. I want to know if it's really as bad as I've heard when it comes to getting what you've written to other places. Are they still on the pay-to-use model? The monthly Connect subscription kills it for me. Why would they do that? So Connect is reMarkable's monthly subscription service, which gives you access to various things. Firstly, it's worth mentioning that you don't need a subscription to Connect to use the reMarkable tablet. It works as you'd expect. Without that, you can still make notes and store notes on the tablet. You can also download the reMarkable app for your computer, which links to the reMarkable tablet. That's free, you don't have to pay for that either. But the problem is that if you don't have that Connect subscription, although you can still sync your reMarkable tablet with your computer, the notes that are synced across will only remain there for 50 days. If you don't access them within that 50-day time frame, they're deleted from your computer. They remain on the tablet, but they go from your computer, which means the only backup you've got of those notes is on here. Now there are two pricing tiers for Connect. The first one is Kindle-like, which is $4.99 a month, and the second one is just called Connect, and that is $7.99 a month. Now with Kindle-like, that gets rid of that 50-day limit thing and means that you can store all of your notes on the cloud forever. But that's pretty much it. You have to upgrade to the Connect service at $7.99 a month to get full syncing with things like Dropbox and Google Drive. And Connect also gives you screen sharing, handwriting conversion, a send by email feature, and also an extended 36-month warranty. There's a weird thing about the warranty, which I'll get to later. So if you want that full-blown reMarkable experience, for the tablet, the marker, the Connect subscription, you're looking at about £624 in total. So can you live without that Connect service? Well, yeah, you probably can, but it very much depends on the type of user you are. So for me, for instance, it doesn't really matter. I don't really need any more than 50 days of rolling storage. And the reason for that is that I don't tend to refer back to old notes. If they're more than 2 weeks old, it's very unlikely I'll go back to them. But if you're the sort of person who wants that peace of mind that all of your notes, no matter how old they are kept somewhere safe, you have no choice but to go for that Connect subscription. I think given how expensive the actual tablet itself is and the markers, etc., to then have to pay this extra annual fee just to get cloud storage and backup for your notes, it's a little bit mean. So you might be wondering what else you can do with the reMarkable 2 apart from take notes. That's a fair point. And it's quite a good e-reader. So because it's very similar to a Kindle, it's very easy on your eyes if you're reading ebooks or PDFs. Now getting stuff onto here isn't quite as simple as a Kindle because there's no such thing as a reMarkable bookstore, for instance. So if you've got ebooks that you want to read on here, or regular books or PDFs, you have to use the reMarkable app on your computer to sync them across. So there's quite a bit of manual effort in turning it into an e-reader, but I have been using this for PDFs occasionally, and because of that kind of e-ink-like display, it's just quite a convenient thing to use for that. And the battery life, because that is so stellar, I find myself relying a little bit more on the reMarkable compared to the iPad mini for that. There is some other stuff as well. For instance, you can use a Google Chrome extension to send simplified web articles to your reMarkable tablet. I've not tried that yet. I'm not convinced that would be great. You can also use the connection between the reMarkable tablet and the reMarkable app on your computer to share your notes from your reMarkable for other people to see on your computer screen, only if you've got the Connect subscription. So although you can do some other stuff on the reMarkable, for me that really only extends as far as reading stuff on it, because once again, the fact that you need that Connect subscription to do some of the more advanced features with this makes it just a little bit unpalatable. So as I mentioned at the start, one of the big comparisons I wanted to make with the reMarkable 2 was against the iPad mini 6. Now that might seem like a really strange and unfair comparison, but I think it's worth making for two reasons. The first one is that I'm fairly confident there's a lot of people out there like me who want to use one of these devices purely for note-taking. The other reason is pricing, and as I've been mentioning throughout this entire review, the pricing for the reMarkable is steep, and it does place it firmly within the iPad territory. So for instance, my iPad mini setup, which consists of the iPad mini 6, the Apple Pencil 2, the Paperlike screen protector, and the Notability app, which is the main app I use for note-taking, that comes to a total of £636. Although it's worth noting that if you drop down to the 9th generation normal iPad, that takes the total investment down to £446 for pretty much the same setup. Now I think when it comes to note-taking, pure note-taking, the reMarkable does win just. Firstly, it has a screen designed specifically for note-taking, so it already has that look and feel of paper, whereas the iPad without the Paperlike screen protector doesn't have that, it's just a glass screen. And secondly, the battery life on the reMarkable, because it's so long, you don't ever really have to worry too much about charging it, whereas the iPad, you pretty much have to charge it every day if you use it quite a lot. So if you're really serious about your note-taking and you've got an iPhone or perhaps another iPad that you can use for your kind of tablety stuff, the reMarkable is a clear winner. But that's the point, you need the budget for it, and also you need to make sure you're covered elsewhere when you need to do more than just take notes. The iPad mini wins big time, firstly when you put the Paperlike on it, but also because it is a little bit cheaper if you go for the iPad version 9, and it can do an awful lot more. It's a fully fledged computer. I've really enjoyed my time with the reMarkable. It's an incredibly satisfying tablet to write on. But would I buy one? No. You've got to really want to get into digital note-taking to go for something as expensive as the reMarkable and not get anything else out of it apart from note-taking. I just think the pricing model for it is a bit mean, and they seem to be absolutely scared to death of giving anything away. You know, that Connect service is just too expensive. I think they should give you free cloud syncing based on the price of the tablet itself. Also, if you hunt through the reMarkable terms and conditions, there is some strange wording around the warranty side of things. And a few people on my Discord server pointed out that it looked like if you didn't go with the Connect service, you didn't get any device warranty. So I asked reMarkable to clear this up for us, and this is what they said. Currently, if you buy reMarkable, you get to try it out and Connect for 100 days risk-free. With Connect, you get an extended 36-month warranty. Without Connect, you get 12 months warranty. So you do get warranty from the sounds of it, but I just wanted to clear that up. Now, given how well built this is and how good the hardware is, I wouldn't have any problem with reMarkable keeping the price of the tablet as it is. I think all they need to do is throw in one of the markers for free and give you full cloud syncing by default. And I have spoken to quite a few people who absolutely love their reMarkable tablets, and it is such a good device. It's just really let down by that pricing model. Now, if you've still got some time and you want to hear my full thoughts on the iPad mini 6, keep watching for a link to my full review of this tablet. But until next time, thank you as always for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.